Good morning. You are watching Stitchy Witchy Bee. I'm Bee. My pronouns are she, her. Today is December 1st of 2024. Where on earth is this year gone? While also somehow feeling like it's been a million years long. It's a little bit overcast today, although it has cleared up as the morning has gone on, so hopefully that will help with the lighting. Welcome back in the case of people who are returning. Welcome if you are new. Thank you very much for stopping by regardless. As I've mentioned before, I know there are dozens, if not hundreds of options for Flosstubes to watch, so I really appreciate anyone who sticks around here. It means a lot to me. I both have and haven't been working on a bunch this latter half of November. A lot of stitches on a couple of projects, so there aren't a ton, but we'll see what that means for how long this video actually is. Other than the finishes, I will be going more or less in alphabetical order, so hopefully that is all right. The first one I've only done a little bit of progress on, but I think as most of us know, any progress is technically good progress. I worked a bit more on Black Cat Spell by Ketty, which I believe I got from the Witch's Garden Crafts Facebook page. It is being done on a 14 count that I tea-dyed myself. It is the spell from Hocus Pocus that the Sanderson sisters used to turn Thackeray Binks into a black cat. I added the word back and this little bauble there. I'm doing it mostly in it's mostly in black, so nothing too crazy there, with maybe some minor changes to the colors of the sparkles or the baubles based on what I had in stash, but nothing too crazy. So it wasn't even quite 200 stitches to add this word. In theory, I would like to do this by the end of the year, but I don't think that will actually happen for reasons I will get to in a little while, but I am enjoying it. Like, it's not a lack of enjoyment. I'm especially enjoying it a lot more now that I have it on this tea-dyed. But yeah. So there's that one. Like I said, I've only done a little bit on it, but basically anytime I pick it up, I like to do at least one of the words. The only thing that's really keeping me from doing more, I am doing it 3 strands of black to try to get really good coverage. But that means it is a little bit difficult to kind of pull through, so my hands don't like doing too much at a time. The next one is the one I've done quite a bit on. It's not the most stitching of the month, but it's a lot. I restarted All Are Equal in Death by Modern Folk Embroidery. Let me actually show the OG. I was just doing it on 28 count black linen. Nothing too fancy. Really enjoyed how it looked, but it was one of the first projects I ever did on linen. I was struggling a bit with that because it was pale stitches. I wasn't liking how a lot of them were laying. And then I realized belatedly that I had too many spaces on the casket between the inner and the outer line. And even though that's something extremely minor and very easy to fudge, it just completely threw me off. And so it's just a combination of several of those things all working against me. I ended up restarting it. And I think last video I was like, no, I'm trying to make myself wait. But then I hit that point of, but why? Why am I making myself wait? There's no reason. This is entirely arbitrary. Let's just go. And I had this beautiful fabric from Witch's Garden Crafts. I believe it was one of the monthly. If you're part of their monthly fabric subscription, it's called Bonfire, and it's stunningly perfect for this. I've made so much progress, and I'm so happy. So this is the top. I've done all of the skeleton, who I've named Clive, all of the wording. I've done all of the wording, period. And then I've started in on some of the vines or flowers or branches. I'm not sure exactly what they are. The word and skeletons are in the same color I was doing before, which is Valdani's Aged White Light. I did the casket in Toasty by Pirate and Robin, which is beautiful. And then I'm doing the vines, which you can barely see now, in Autumn Harvest, also by Pirate and Robin, which is just beautiful variations in the floss. So I'm very much enjoying this and how it's turning out. I'm fighting for my life here. Yeah, I could not be happier with how this is turning out. I'm not 100% sure. There is technically another border here. I don't know yet if I'm going to include it. I've seen it both with and without. I think I'm just going to go based purely on how I'm feeling about it once this part's done. It will be very easy to do at the end if I am doing it. So it wouldn't be difficult to tack on. Because I'm doing this off of a paper pattern, I'm not sure how far along I am, but I do know that I've made substantial progress. Especially since I've only been working on it the latter half of this month, and I've already got that much. Sorry for crinkling. This is not wanting to go back in. It's home. Then I had a completely new start. Another modern folk embroidery piece. This one has kind of an interesting history. I got the pattern for No Time Like the Present, which is their 2024 stitch along. I got it in, I want to say April or May, and the pattern. And I'd been wanting to work on it ever since then. I had dreams and goals and hopes of the colors I wanted to use. I had really strong thoughts on it. And then I kept getting kind of delayed in actually getting the supplies for them. I didn't know what fabric I was doing it on. A lot of things slowed me down, but I finally got everything together middle of this month. So I went ahead and started it. This is an 18 count that I hand dyed myself. I actually ended up dyeing it twice. The first time was fine, but I love this. This is close to like a charcoal by Weeks Dye Works or something similar. It's a nice, not quite black, but more than just gray. And I am doing this so it's typically done in 2 colors. And I made a rather interesting choice, but I'm so happy with it. I'm so happy with it. This orange is called Wascally Wabbit by Roxy Floss Co. And then you can just barely see over here, there's a bit of red. The alternating color is going to be, I believe this is Cabernet. Yeah, Cabernet by Roxy Floss Co. I'm just doing it 1 strand over 18 count. Really loving it already. Like, I think these, I know they don't, most people might not think they look great together. I love them. I love them so much. Yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I'm trying to do the entire width first just to figure out that part. And then I'm loosely going to go by the initial recommended stitch along, which is, they included, I want to say like 3 sections per month for most of the year. I think I'm generally going to be following that. This is another one that's on paper only so far. But again, I am really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to working on it more. I think after Equal and Death, this might be kind of what takes the place after that. Then I worked a little bit more on Study in Skulls. Not quite as much as I had hoped, but I did get more progress in. There was one day in particular, I was on a Zoom call with some friends, and I got quite a bit of progress that day. I think that one alone had 400 stitches. But this is going to be finished right around Christmas, so I definitely need to catch up. So it is a stitch along, or a SAL. Let's see, Study of Skulls by the Stitch Crypt. I'm doing this again on some hand-dyed fabric that I did, 18 count. DMC that's called for. I think total in the latter half of this month I did 545 stitches. mostly these books and a little bit more with some of these shading or shadows on these shelves. Previously I had done most of the shelf, the basket with the snake plant, and then the snake itself. And honestly, I'm loving the pattern. Literally the only thing that's slowing me down is my own ADHD. And how much focus I put in a piece that's coming up here in a moment. I had another new start. I had mentioned it in my last video. It is the Unseelie Forest Witch, artwork by Chrissabug, the pattern by Thread Geeks. I'm doing this on a 22 count ivory, which I've discovered I love for like a full coverage or a bigger piece. The only downside is the moment I got it and started looking at it, it was shredding at the edges, just completely falling apart. So I preemptively did, it's just, honestly, it's just washi tape that I've very aggressively and horribly whip stitched into place by hand, because I don't own a, obvious word, sewing machine to do it more correctly or properly. I believe this is the correct angle. A bit of our hair coming here. I am going to do a test and do this try with 2 strands for the DMC, for the 310 rather, because 310, most people who've worked with it a bunch know that sometimes 1 strand is just not enough coverage. I don't know what it is about 310 in particular. So I'm going to try to do 2 strands to see what it's like, because there's a lot of 310 on this and I want to make sure it looks good without being too bulky. So we'll see. I'm going to do a few little tests and play around with that a little bit. And I did do a center start on this because I think one of the margins was tight. I think it was top and bottom. Was going to be a little snug. It was still going to fit, but it was going to be a little bit tighter on that. And with full coverage, I'm more okay with that because I'm going to be framing it probably pretty close to the edges of the stitched area. So that doesn't bother me too much. But I am really enjoying 22 count. Like I said, the only quote-unquote issue I've had with it is that it just kind of tries to fall apart on me on the edges. Yeah, I think that's the only thing I had for that one. It's a beautiful pattern. Very much enjoying it. That one I was able to get as a PDF, so it is in Pattern Keeper. Okay, the only other whip I had was also a new start. It's a blackwork piece. And blackwork is more the terminology. It doesn't have to be done in black, as you will see. It's a lot of kind of back stitching or single strand stitching to make designs, with occasionally some cross stitching or full stitches. It just depends on the pattern itself. This one is by Unseamly Stitches. It is their Winter Flurry stitch along. I am a bit behind, but that's fine. This one won't take me too long to get caught up on. I'm doing this on 28 count Sandbar by Bestitch Me. I went with a linen because there are some quarter stitches and I was hoping that would make it easier. So far it hasn't, but we'll get to that in just a moment. I might switch, because this is more of those like random blue silks that I got off of Amazon that I've talked about in previous videos. It's beautiful. The 2 strands was a little bit difficult, or different, we'll say, to use for this, to make the regular X's, but it looked like absolute garbo, just total trash when I was trying to do the single stitches, because there's some designs in these borders, and then the actual, of course, stitch along piece will be in each of these squares, and It might look better here, but it was looking absolutely, like, it didn't look like anything. It was just a tangle of floss that looked absolutely horrible. So I'm going to attempt just a regular single strand of cotton floss to see if that holds up better, or if this just might not be the best fabric choice. One thing I have learned that I'm sure anyone who uses linen could have told me, but I hadn't asked and hadn't figured out on my own yet. Linen is so much easier to use when you have more tension, because usually I stitch in hand. Any of my linen projects, I've switched to using an actual hoop, or, I mean, what I have are hoops. I don't really have anything else. Hoops and scroll bars are all I have. So I've started using those for my linen projects, and it has completely improved my opinions on linen. Not that they were bad before, but I was definitely struggling more with linen and how I felt about using it and my stitches on it. It has improved dramatically since using a hoop, which, again, I think anyone who uses linen probably could have told me, but I foolishly hadn't asked and hadn't gotten around to it. So I know now. I like it a lot more, even if the hoop, I take it out from the hoop every time I'm done stitching on it, and it still has left marks, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm hopeful that this other option will look better. And I've got a kind of thicker or sturdier linen that I'm going to be doing another Unseamly Stitches pattern on. So I'm hoping that works out a little bit better. We'll find out. I think that's all I had on this one. So I do have 2 finishes. One of them was a goal, so I'm not surprised by that one. The other one ended up being a surprise, but one I'm very happy about, just because it was good to get it done. I knew there weren't that many stitches to it, so there wasn't really a reason not to finish it. We'll go over that one first. That one is Salem and Memorium. The pattern is by the Witchy Stitcher. I did it on 18 count gray magic by Bestitch Me. There's technically some white stitches in there that I chose not to do. I liked it a lot better just as a monochromatic piece. And I did it technically with mascara by Weeks Dye Works. That was just, I had some and I wanted to try it out and see how it looked. Really liked it. I did do this with 2 strands, which is not how I do a lot of my 18 count anymore, but I think it looks great. It was a little bit thick, a little bit dense. So I probably won't do that too often, but it does look good for this. My goal, if I can, I've seen some kind of like arched frames before. I don't know how easy they would be to find, but I would love to find one of those to frame it, either as something that can kind of stand on its own or an actual wall frame. We'll see. Yeah, I like it. And like I said, it was like less than 3,000 stitches. There was no reason why I hadn't actually put any time into it to finish it before. So I'm glad I did so for this. I don't know. I'm really happy with that. It looked really nice. It was a lot of fun to work on. Like, just very simple and meditative in its own way. And then the big one, the quote-unquote bane of my existence, which I feel horrible saying. It's a beautiful pattern. I enjoyed working on it for the most part. The only thing that really kicked me in the butt was that I was trying very, very hard to finish it in a narrow amount of time, and it completely killed my enjoyment of it. If ever I needed a bigger indication that I am a process stitcher and not a progress stitcher, this did it. This was everything, right? There is technically still a little bit left to do on this. I haven't finished the back stitching. There isn't a ton, but there is some, mostly in the snowflakes and stars, and then a little bit in the letters, but there isn't much. But I'm so done with it that I have not been able to get myself to actually sit and do that little bit. in the couple of days since I finished the main stitching for it. That's how incredibly over it I am. Which, I feel bad about. This is a beautiful pattern. This is Merry Christmas by Tinsel Cross Stitch. I did this on 20 count stone by, I believe, Fiber on a Whim. One strand with random blue silks from Amazon. Let's see, that's a little bit better. I have so much lighting, and yet it's so dark, and I don't know why. And this was another fabric that I will, just heads up, also was constantly falling apart. Like, I had to do my little washi tape and whip stitch, because this was done in the middle, and I have that much left at the top, and this little at the bottom. I have already purchased a frame for it. It hasn't arrived yet, but I do have one. It's going to be a pretty snug fit, which again is needed because of this, but that's fine. I've never framed anything before, so I will be watching a few YouTube tutorials on that. I'm not too worried about it, but like, I am very happy with it, but man, I will be so happy to get it in a frame and out of sight for at least a couple of weeks until I give it to my mom for Christmas. This was about 15,500 stitches total as well, if anyone is interested in that. This month alone, I did... Oh, can't quite read that. I think it was about 8,500 stitches just on it this month alone, which is why I'm done. I'm so ready to be done with this pattern. But yeah, those are my finishes. I will leave this up for the last little bit. Please light. No, you're just not going to. It's as if I'm sitting in a dark dungeon, and I'm truly not. There's a bright window to my right. There's overhead lighting. There's, I don't know. It is what it is. Anyway. So, December plans, now that we are on the 1st. I will be attending Jingle Ball. I do not have Festive Forest finished. As is noted by the latter half of this month, I haven't worked on it at all. I'm going to try to work on it some more in the next week, but I'm not going to pressure myself. I've learned what happens when I do that, so I'm not going to try. Fully finish this, of course. There's a couple other Christmas related or holiday related patterns I was kind of hoping to do as presents, but at this point, like, I'll work on them if I get the inspiration. If they get done, they get done. If they don't, they don't. I'll give them out next year. It won't be a huge deal. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I was starting to think ahead toward 2025, finally. I know a lot of other people have already figured all that out. And I was looking at, like, thinking about doing my end of year whip parade and stuff like that. And there were some patterns that I was like, I don't know that I want to carry this forward into 2025, in that I'm hoping I can get it done before then. But given how intense this was, how stressed this was, or how stressful this was for me, and how stressed I became, and how much I dislike it now just because I was scrambling so much to do it, I don't want to do that to myself. There were a few where I was like, I could do, around 300 stitches a day and finish. There's, so the Haunted Frames has those book of blank patterns. I have 3 more that I'm trying to do. And in theory, I could do 1 a week if I did about 300 stitches. And again, I don't want to do that to myself or to those patterns, which are very lovely. And I would end up just being so upset with the patterns, and they don't deserve that. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to vibe for the rest of this month. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, to enjoy to do. We'll keep it simple that way. So that's my rough plans. I am still debating, and I have maybe a week or 2 to figure it out, whether or not I want to do the Heaven and Earth Design Stitch Along, or the Haid Stitch Along, next year. I've never done a Heaven and Earth Designs pattern before. The sheer amount of stitches is daunting, purely in the time frame. Again, it's a time frame issue. In theory, it would be possible. The only reason I would really be interested in doing it is to get the free pattern if I complete, so much of it. I'm only interested in a couple of the designs that are available as options. I believe the jellyfish one, and then there's a section of the Garden of Earthly Delights by Hieronymus Bosch. I think I pronounced that right. That I would be interested in. But the others aren't really my thing as much, so I don't know. I haven't fully decided. Probably won't, but there's a small chance I will. I don't know. Mostly because a couple of the designs that I have been eyeing on there are, I think, $45 just for the pattern. And if I could get one of those for free, that would be wonderful. Let's see. In terms of shout-outs, I've only really watched one new channel. Most of what I've been watching is recurring channels I'm already subscribed to, catching up on their videos. So those will be in the description as usual, just ones that every time they put out a video, I'm doing my best to watch it right away. Even if I lurk and don't necessarily comment, I'm usually there watching. Always watching. But for a new channel, I found she.b stitching, she.b.stitching. I believe the video I watched was their most recent one. Quite a few similar types of projects to the ones I do. And I don't know if that was just because it was right around Halloween or if this is kind of the usual vibe, but I really enjoyed it. So I'll definitely be checking out more videos by them. And I've gotten some shout outs by a few other channels that I really appreciate. YouTube has not been notifying me properly of comments and shout outs, so I apologize if I have not thanked anyone specifically or responded to things. I'll be trying to go in today and commenting and replying to comments while this is taking forever to upload. Other than that, the only other thing I have is the fact and the tarot card pull. So let me go ahead and switch focus over to that just a moment. Alright, for you, no time has passed, but for me, a few moments did. I completely forgot to grab my tarot deck from nearby, so that was a little bit of a struggle. We will start with the fact first, though. This month, a very timely fact is about Yule goats, specifically one that is in Sweden. Yule goats are a Scandinavian and Northern European tradition for both Yule and Christmas. They're a blend of a number of old beliefs, including Old Norse deities like Thor, whose chariot was drawn by two goats, and a Proto-Slavic deity named Divak, who was represented by a white goat. They're typically now made from straw, though in the past they had been made with sheafs of wheat and ribbon. Current iterations, they're typically made into ornaments. But the most famous one in recent decades is the Gävle goat in Gävle, Sweden. It is erected on the first day of Advent, which this year is today. It's the fourth Sunday before Christmas. And it's typically brought down the day after New Year's. It was originally made for marketing and advertising purposes to get attention to Gävle, but since then it has become a bigger tradition, in large part because of repeated arson and other destructive attempts on the goat itself. It is typically between 40 and 50 feet tall. In meters, it's right around 13 meters. 20 to 25 feet long, 7 meters. The first year it was constructed was 1966. It was burned down on New Year's Eve that year, the day before it was typically deconstructed and put away. As of last year, December 2023, 42 out of 58 goats have been destroyed or damaged in some way, despite the vandalism being illegal and typically met with a 3-month prison sentence, along with a fine. If the goat is destroyed before the 13th of December, it is often rebuilt. Though if it is damaged after that date, it is usually simply taken down. Efforts have been made to protect and watch over the goat to keep the vandalism from happening. In 1996, camera surveillance was put up to monitor it 24 hours. Fencing with metal and chicken wire was installed. Security guards with dogs have been hired. Taxi groups have kind of banded together to watch over it. They've tried several attempts to fireproof it. None of that has ultimately solved the problem. Like I said, it's still been destroyed most of the years that it has been up. You can even watch in real time on a webcam on the town's website. I don't know if YouTube will let me link it properly, but I can at least put the text of the link below so that you can find it. A few of the ways that the goat has been destroyed. Theft, collapsed under its own weight. One year it was hit by a student driving a Volvo into the back legs. It has been kicked to pieces, which sadly does not have much other information available, even though I did look. Burned down during a blizzard, specifically. Repeated arson efforts, including my personal favorite in 2005. It was set on fire by flaming arrows, shot by vandals dressed as gingerbread men and led by someone dressed as Santa. The search for the head vandal even appeared on Sweden's version of Most Wanted that year. Last year, hilariously, it was not destroyed by fire or any of the other usual means, but rather by being slowly pecked and eaten by jackdaws throughout the month. It has generally been a sign of good luck if the goat does burn, rather than stay safe. So people online tend to be hopeful that it burns or is otherwise destroyed, which is interesting. Like, I was trying to find ahead of this. I've only found it once. Sadly, it has been impossible to find again. But somebody was noting, like, different things that have happened that are deemed to be bad the years that the goat does not burn. Which is why they're like, obviously, if it burns, it's for the best. I could not find those this year, but I have seen that in the past where people have kind of pulled all of these extra omens and meanings together for it. So like I said, as of today, it should be up. Although there have been instances in the past where the day it was built or put up, it was destroyed immediately. So we'll see for this year how this goes. And then for the tarot card pull this time, God, why is the lighting in here? Again, I have so many lights and it's so dark. This time was the Three of Cups, and I swear these are random pulls. I swear to you, despite how fitting they've been, they are random pulls. This is the Three of Cups, which represents a period of happiness. You'll be able to forget the worries of your daily life and spend daily time or quality time with your family and friends or people that you cherish in your life. So when I was doing my pull, I was thinking of the next couple weeks or this month. So this is a perfect card for this. This could not be a better option. Again, I swear to you it was random. I understand if you do not believe that, but I swear it was random. General recommendations. For games, I'm going to recommend a couple. One of them is brand new. It just came out very recently. It's called Luma Island. Luma Island. I don't think it's on the Switch, but it is on PC and possibly one or two other options. It is extremely cute. It's a little bit, like crafting, farming, stuff like that, but there are a few differences that set it apart and make it unique. And I think it's very fun, very cute. And it is very multiplayer friendly, which is a bonus. I'm also going to recommend a couple games that have been out for a little bit. One of them is called Bear and Breakfast. It's extremely cute. I love it so much. It's adorable. And there's a couple moments in it, like a couple little faces or expressions that are so cute. I definitely want to see if there's any way I can kind of make them into something cross-stitchy so that I can stitch them and have them in that way, because they're just adorable. And then another one, I don't know, there's something about the end of the year that makes me very like introspective and more open to games like this. It's called Spiritfarer. It is technically a cozy game, but it's about loss and grief and helping yourself and others move on. Fair warning, every time I played it, pretty much I would be sobbing. Like it hit some, I didn't know that I needed it when I was playing it, but man, it helped me work through some stuff that, again, I was not aware I even needed to work through. So fair warning on that part, but very beautiful game, genuinely very fun, like a great story, or stories as the case may be. Definitely recommended, but again, just be prepared for potential emotions going on with it. And then it feels like I had a couple other recommendations I was going to mention for shows or movies, but I can't, I didn't write them down at the time, which means that they are forever lost. The only one I will mention is one of the few traditionally like Christmas or holiday movies that I tend to like. I'm not a huge fan of most of them, but one of the ones I do really like is called Mixed Nuts. It's with Steve Martin and a whole bunch of other just phenomenal people. It is a traditional Christmas movie, but it is also a little bit different. Sorry about that. A little bit darker, sassy humor to it, but it's really fun. It's really heartwarming. I am one of those people who swears up and down that Die Hard and Lethal Weapon and all those are Christmas movies, especially Die Hard. Just anybody who says it isn't, I want to know what qualifies a movie as being a Christmas movie, and I will point out something in Die Hard that fits that. And if you still insist it isn't, then that's on you, and that's fine, but you cannot tell me it isn't. That's just my opinion on it. I think that's it. This is gonna be a slightly shorter video this time. Thank you very, very much for being here. I hope if you're new that you found something that interests you enough to stick around. YouTube has been awful about telling me about comments, like I said, so I will be trying to catch up with those. I hope to see a bunch of you all at the Jingle Ball or other places in online space. I hope that everyone's December goes well. I'm not 100% sure yet which days this month I will be uploading. I'm still kind of trying to figure out some of that. Or I also don't know when I'll be doing an end of year whip parade. I probably will be, just because I have so many, but we'll see when exactly that happens. If nothing else, there probably will be 2 more videos by the very beginning of January. I just don't know exact dates yet. In the meantime, try to remember to get enough water, stay safe, focus on what makes you happy, and I will see you all next time. Bye.